All right, so with what's going on in the world, we thought that it was important for us to hit on a few topics and some subjects. And I mean, we can't start this conversation without talking about the coronavirus and what's happening in the world and the lockdowns, the people that are sadly losing their lives. I mean, this is a serious thing. And with having people that are on lockdown, you know, we thought about our healthcare workers, we thought about the children, but one of the things I think is really important that we touch on is there are a lot of people that are at home in lockdown that are in abusive relationships, that are suffering from domestic abuse, and right now where people are even more confined and they are stuck at home, I think it's important that we have a conversation about it, because this is quite serious. You know, people use things like work and going out to have lunch with friends and being able to leave their home to get away and to escape from some of the pressures and some of the abuse at home. And during this crisis, what can you do? Where can you go? So, you know, at the end of this video, please look out for some updates. We're going to be posting some information of some hotlines, numbers that you guys can call both here in the UK and in South Africa. We are going to get back to that point shortly. So I want you guys to realise that there are at least some organisations that are ready to take your calls and offer some advice, okay, if you find yourself in that situation. And, you know, this brings me nicely. Thank you very much for that. This brings me nicely to my next point. Here at Real Quiz, right, last year, we did a season of Ask Real Quiz Joburg. And on one of our episodes, it was episode 3, and it was titled "Dating Black Men is an Extreme Sport." Yeah, I bet that caught some of your attentions, didn't it? All right, so in that particular episode, it was an episode that... Excuse me, my phone is going off. Who knows? All right, so that particular episode was all about domestic abuse within the LGBT community and what that's like, because it's something we don't talk about. It's something we don't talk about. And within that particular episode, it was a real moving episode, actually. I hope you guys had a chance to go in and actually review the episode. And if you haven't, please go back and check out the episode, okay? It was episode 3. Within that particular episode, one of our panelists, in fact, most of our panelists had a story to share. And one of our panelists actually called out their abuser. And I believe that it's so important for us to get all of the narrative on this situation, all right? Because there are some things that I think that all of us need clearing up about this whole situation. So great to see that this particular person that was called out is actually here with us today, and I will grab you into the chat real soon, okay? Real soon. What I want you guys as well, whilst we are doing this interview, if there are any questions, any thoughts that you guys have, please share them. I will be going through the comments and I will be making sure that I involve you guys as much as possible, because this is not just about you, it's not just about me, it's about all of us and what we can do to help one another. And like I said, the episode I'm talking about is the Ask Real Quiz Joburg edition, and it's episode 3, okay? Episode 3. All right, so I think I'm going to get this person on, we're going to get them to join in, okay? All right, let's see. Okay. Also, I want to give a little disclaimer as well. Okay, so fair is fair, and an allegation was made, and I think it's only right, especially if the allegations are true, for everybody to be held accountable for anything that we do, okay? And that also includes us who see things and don't speak out and don't say anything. We need to be held accountable. And one thing I have to just categorically point out is that we're not in the game of giving a platform to people that are unapologetic for the pain and the hurt that they've caused other people. So let that just be known, okay? We're here to get to the nitty and gritty, get to the bottom of everything. All right, so Ayanda Nino, I am going to add you to the conversation and let's get this started. Right. Just bear with me. Remember, guys, if you guys have any questions, please, join in. Okay. All right. Beautiful. All right. So remember, guys, add your questions and, please, let's join the conversation. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, could you introduce yourself to everybody? Let everybody know who you are.
My name is Ayanda Nino. Yeah.
Okay, and so as you've been tuned in the whole time, so
yes.
Okay, so again, this is not an attack at you. This is not an attack at anybody. We just want to kind of clear up or find out, where you stand on all of this as well.
Yeah.
Because, an allegation was made, and it's a serious allegation. And
yes.
At the end of the day, like I said earlier, it's about accountability and everybody being held accountable for everything. All right. So, as I said, there was an episode of Ask Real Queers Joe Berg, and where we delved into domestic abuse within the LGBT community, and you were named, and I would like for you, in your own words, can you explain what you actually did, or what your take on this whole matter is?
Okay, thank you, Nims. First of all, I would like to apologize to my ex. What happened is that I emotionally abused her and gaslighted her, manipulated her, and I had toxic behaviors, which she highlighted them. And for me, at that time, I didn't know that was toxic. I recently found out that the things that I was doing was toxic through therapy. And I take accountability for what I did. Also, and also having some... Sorry,
we had a connection issue. Carry on, please.
Oh, okay. So having someone who understood my depression, who understood the family that I'm coming through, I took advantage of it. I took advantage of it, and I wasn't emotionally invested in that relationship. And for me, it was just that you can fix my problems. I don't care, and yeah.
All right. So, let's break down everything that you said, right?
Yes.
And mentioned, you mentioned in the beginning that, you were in a particular place,
yes,
emotionally yourself. So I just want to highlight something for the viewers and for yourself, and then let's see where we go with this, right? I just want to highlight to everybody what is abuse, okay? What is abuse, guys, all right? So usually, all right, often abuse starts when your partner does tiny little things to try and control you and keep you in a particular place. Abusive partners are also not very trusting. They can be very insecure, jealous, possessive, and it usually starts with emotional abuse. That then can escalate into physical abuse, sexual abuse, but it's not just physical and sexual abuse. There are other forms, such as emotional abuse, verbal abuse, financial abuse, that are just as crippling as the physical abuse, the things that when you think of domestic violence, those are the things that you instantly think of. Oh, somebody was hit, somebody was pushed. Do you recognize any of those particular traits within yourself?
Yes, I do. And mostly it's like communication and lying and like even not being emotionally involved with that person. You know, I failed to communicate my feelings with her, and whenever she tried to have conversation with me, I just shut down and just walk away from her, which is like.
Why do you think you shut down?
At home, I was emotionally and physically, sexually abused, and I adopted that thing that whenever we have an argument or conversation, my parent would walk away or will shut down and be silent. And like I stayed with my mom, and it was just two of us. Whenever I do something wrong or come back home late, she would just be silent for a whole month. And for me, I'm dependent on this person, you know, and she's the one who's buying food and everything. So now she's silent. So me getting to the relationship, whenever someone does something wrong or tries to confront me, I'll shut down and be silent and give them a silent treatment, because that's how I know how to love. You know, that's what I adopted in the family history, you know.
All right. So if you say that you adopted this behavior from learned behavior, from nurture, from your past. When you went through these things during your past, how did you feel at that particular point? When you was the victim, when you was in that position?
I think when you're in that position, you don't feel anything. You feel like that's how it is, you know. Especially as Black people and growing up in a Christian family, a very strict Christian family, you're told not to express your feelings because you're a child. I feel like for me, I'll speak from my experience. It was like it felt right because that's your parent, so she has a right to do that.
So let's roll this forward and put it into context. Now you're in a relationship. Now you're the adult. You're in a relationship. And you are treating somebody the way you was treated growing up. You're an adult at this point.
Yes.
What are your at the point when these things are happening? What's going through your mind? What's happening?
It just blacked out. I just blacked out. It was like, this is how I'm being treated. This is how I'm going to treat everyone.
So it's a matter of not caring. It's
just like, this is how, I don't know any other ways to how to treat people. So this is how I'm going to treat you. This is how I've seen in the past people treating other people. So this is how I'm going to treat you. This is what I've learned.
All right. So, I mean, we've kind of brushed over the fact that, you know, this is how I'm going to treat you. I mean, what, like, let's like let's get down to it. Like what things, like, give me an example. What things did you do? Because we could say it was emotional abuse. It was, it was this, but people out there don't know what that is. Like what was your emotional abuse?
I feel like not being there in the relationship. Like physically you're there, emotionally you're not there. You're not invested. This person is putting in work. You're not even invested. You don't want to do conversation. You're gaslighting them. You're manipulating them. I feel like also lying, it played a big part, because you're also wasting this person's time and you're making them feel like they're doing something wrong, which they're not doing anything wrong. They just want to be with you and spend time with you, but you're making it sound like they're doing something wrong.
So there was a lot of manipulation, a lot of
gaslighting.
Right. Yeah. So earlier you mentioned that perfect question. You said you use manipulation and gaslighting. For those people out there that don't know what gaslighting is, can you tell us what your definition of gaslighting is?
I lost you there.
Yeah. Oh, you lost me. Okay. I was saying that we just had a question. We had a question come through, and you mentioned that you were being manipulative and you were gaslighting. Can you let people know what you mean by the term gaslighting?
I don't know how to put it. I feel like when someone is telling you that you're doing something wrong, you turn it around as if it's their fault that you're doing that thing wrong. That's how I understand like gaslighting, Or maybe someone trying to correct you and you like, it's because of you that I'm doing this, and you turn it around to blame them, and then to make them feel insecure. Yeah, to make them feel insecure about them. Yeah.
Okay, and have you found yourself in any other, like you mentioned that, like obviously we have the person that named you in the episode.
Yes.
Were there any others? I mean, have you? Is it just the one person that you found yourself in a relationship with, or is there more?
I feel like at that period time, because I was going through a rough time that year, anyone who was with me was caught in this abusive Ayanda, the toxic Ayanda and everything in that year. So in that year, anyone that I dated went through that rough patch with me, that abusive time.
And you mentioned earlier, I'm sorry, I'm just going to check some of these questions because we've had some fabulous questions come through. Lovely question, Ange. Okay, so you mentioned earlier that you wasn't aware that you said that this particular person actually told you. What would they say to you? You said that they told you. What was going on?
Yeah, I remember there was a time she told me that I had a toxic behavior. I forgot what I did. And I kept quiet. She kept on talking and talking, and it ended up her shouting at me. And it came from a good place, but also shouting also triggered my own issues. But for me, not engaging in communication with her and telling her what's wrong, why am I doing these things, what is toxic? What do you mean when you say I have a toxic behavior? Why are you trying to change me? Because this is who I am. And she really did her best to try to highlight my toxic behavior and say, this is toxic, this is abusive. And in my mind, I'm thinking, why is this woman trying to change me? Because this is what I know. This is how you got me. This is how you find me. So why are you trying to change me? In that light. So she really did her best to like really teach me what's toxic, what's abusive behavior. But yeah.
So, okay, so I mean, how long was this relationship? So the relationship has lasted for how long?
It was just I think it was just 2 months.
It doesn't even matter how long it lasted for. So the relationship is ended. What next? What was next for you?
When the relationship ended, I had to sit down and call myself out. And
was that immediate? Was that an immediate thing? Was there, you know, as soon as the relationship ended, did you sit down and think, right, I need to sort myself out?
When the thing is, when the relationship ended, it ended really bad because there was a lot of crying and everything. And I just
want to put a disclaimer as well. This particular person again said categorically there was no physical abuse, which is why I read the disclaimer earlier about the description earlier about what abuse is, and that it's not just physical. So again, you know, relationships ended.
I think for me, her crying, seeing her hurt in the eyes really haunted me for like the whole week. And I had to find myself also. That's when I really found that I was transgender, and I hated myself so much that I couldn't connect with my body. And that's where I had connection to get a therapist to talk about my issues and find myself. That's where I realized that the whole to my partner. Yes.
And projected.
Projected to my partner.
So you mentioned therapy. Okay?
Yes.
You mentioned therapy, and you mentioned it a few times, and I wanted to hear your story before we got to the point of therapy. Is that the only route that you went down? Like, you know, what type of therapy did you have? There's so many different types. Like what did you do?
I went to a psychiatrist first, and then I went to like therapy. To therapy where you sit down, you talk to a person. Also, spiritually, I had to connect with God and ancestors. Some of us would believe in that. I take it as a therapy also, that like spiritually and everything. But for me, talking to someone and really like pour out what happened and what's happening in my life, and this is how I feel, it really helped me a lot. Yeah.
How long were you in therapy for? Was it something that was short term? Was it something? I mean, what was the process?
I'm still going to therapy. I'm planning on going to therapy for the rest of my life, because you will never heal overnight. You know, because I always say I suffered from childhood traumas. There's some stuff that still trigger me even now as a trust, even though I have transitioning and stuff. So I even now I'm still in therapy.
Again, there are points where I'm going to stop you, and I just want to shout out to the viewers and listeners. Again, therapy, very important, very important. Within our community, within the LGBT community already, there are so many factors and things that we have stresses. And can I just please point out, it's so very taboo. However, you know, there are people in some countries where people spend a lot of money to sit down on a couch and talk about their issues. So, you know, as well as us being, you know, we come from a minority group, we are, you know, we're LGBT too, you know, we're male, we're female, we're trans, we, you know, so many different things. There's so many different factors that come into this, that we do need like therapy is not something to be ashamed of, people. And the fact that you said that I mean, the positive thing I'm getting from this is that you're still in therapy, and I need everybody out there to realize it's not something that happens overnight. It's a continuous battle. It's a continuous journey. And
even if you're happy, even if you're sad, you need to go to therapy. You need to share all those moments. You need someone to talk to. And, you know, as for a person like me who didn't have any support system from home to talk about my emotions and communicate, you know, you need to go to therapy.
So, you know, the main question that most people would like an answer for is,
yes,
have you, one, they want to know if you're still in community, if you've spoken up, right? If you've spoken to the people in question, because as you said, there were others, anybody else, there were other people, and there were other people that you said that you abused. So therefore, have you reached out to any of them?
Yes, I have reached out to everyone, and I apologized, and I've given them space. That's the best thing that I can do. And I've acknowledged my mistakes and my behaviors, and now I know better. You know, I know better, and I know what I'm apologizing for. But if it was back then, that Ayanda back then, I would have been like, why are you trying to change me, you know? I wasn't doing anything wrong. But now that I know better, I reached out to them. Even my partner, I did reach out to her, and I apologized and everything. Yeah.
All right, so again, quite personal. When you've reached out to these people, right, and especially, you know, the person that was on the panel with me and that named you, when you reached out to them, what was the response you got?
I didn't get any response, right. And for me, I wasn't expecting any response. I didn't have expectations, you know, and they need to hear also. They need to have, one day they're going to come back if they really want to sit down and talk about what really happened. I'm open to that, to really sit down and talk to them face to face, and also take accountability of what happened, you know. But for me, it was like, I need to apologize because I know I was wrong for doing this to you, and I need you to know that you didn't do anything wrong. Yeah.
Are you prepared that may never happen? That they may never be at that space to be able to?
Yes, I am prepared. That's why I'm doing therapy for that, you know, and I'm learning things that you never expect someone to just forgive you overnight. You know, it might be a scar forever. You know.
So, all right. So what advice would you give? I mean, you know, you're at the stage you're at now. What advice would you give to the younger you, or somebody else who has watched this video and thought, I can be a bit toxic. I can be quite controlling. I can be this. Maybe. What do you say to that person?
I think most of all, you need to see your environment that you're growing up. You know, like, first of all, our parents, you know, how you brought up, and learn your love languages. And for me, I would say seek therapy. I wish I had access to therapy when I was still growing up, so that I can express my feelings and everything, and also learn to love myself and really accept myself that I am a man. I'm not a woman at that time, because I really tried to force this thing of being a black lesbian woman to make it work. And that time I hate myself. I'm also toxic to myself, meaning I'm going to be toxic to the other person. How can I love someone while I don't love myself? So for me, I would say find counseling therapy something. Therapy is the key to everything for me. That's what I would say to everyone. Whether you're happy, whether you're sad, you need to go to therapy.
Okay. Just had a brilliant question just come through. Right. What would you do differently in the future relationships?
Right now, I've learned to communicate, like communication, which I've identified like as man, we really suck at communication. Yeah. So I've learned to communicate. I have learned to express my feelings.
I'm going to pause you right there.
Yeah.
Right. You said as a man, as men, we are really poor at communication.
Yes.
Is that learnt toxic masculinity, or is that, you know, because who said you should be like this because you're a man? Is that learned behavior? Because I'm kind of struggling to see, well, as a man, should it not be as a human? Because I don't see why a man should have.
It's a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior. Even when I was still identified as a woman, I couldn't express my feelings because the way I was brought up, you don't express your feelings. And you see your cousin brothers, they can't even express themselves because they're men. Boys don't cry, you know, and everything like that. So as for me, it was a challenge for me to go into a relationship and communicate and try like express myself as a person. Sorry about that. So
yeah,
and to communicate.
Connection issues.
I'm also okay. We're back. Yeah, so back. Yes. So communication.
Yeah, you there? Okay. All right. So, because when I hear this as a man, kind of, I just think that's something we definitely need to work harder on. Whether you're a masculine presenting female, whether you're a trans man, where does this, as a man, I need to act this way come from? I know it's learnt behavior, but where did we learn this from? Where did we learn that a man must be
this way,
dominant over his wife or over his female? Like, where did that come from?
Society, family, church. Yeah.
Because, you know, I think this is something that confuses a lot of people about the LGBT community, because they're like, well, if you know, two women, if you wanted to be with a man, why does one of you look like a man? If you wanted to be with a man, why? Do you understand? So it's that, why do masculine presenting females or trans men emulate so much the negative side of, why is it not that you guys pick up the traits of the loving husband, the husband that wants to go and run through the park with the kids and brings his wife flowers? Or like, what happened to that?
I think it's the way we see how our parents were treated, you know. That's what I'm saying. It's the learned behavior. It's childhood traumas. My dad left my mom. And I always said I have abandoning issues. So I would just leave you if we were dating, if we were just talking and everything. I would just leave in the middle of everything and not talk to you for like a month, because that's how I saw my relationship with the.
All right, so you're going through therapy. You know, you've taken time out. How long do you leave it before? Like one of the questions were, do you even think you're ready for another relationship? How long do you heal before you move on?
For me, I was in a relationship last year before I had surgery. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. We still friends even right now. I feel like healing is a journey, and you also have to communicate with your partner what you're dealing with. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm working. You also have to communicate with your partner what you're dealing with, and if she or he are able to support you in that journey and be there for you, and also be like, yep.
Okay, I see that you're having to move about, so I'm going to bring the conversation to a close. Just one final, could you give the people like one final statement on where you were, where you're at, and where you're going, and what your steps are? Advice you'd give to somebody in your position or about to be in your position.
Like I said, therapy. I'm not gonna say anything, but I feel like therapy. You need to find someone to talk to. And research. I feel like I was lazy to research. Whenever my partner told me this is toxic, you can't say these things, you can't do this, I could have like just researched about it or talk to someone in the community who would like, what does this mean? And yeah, if anyone wants to talk, also they can reach out to me. I'm not a professional or anything, but I can help with my experience and how to navigate the childhood traumas that we suffer and how to be a better human being. Yep.
I think that's the important thing. How do we as people become better human beings? How do we treat people with the right respect? And it's a learned thing. It's a continual process, and we have to be better human beings. Just before you leave, a question was asked, that something was asked in the comments earlier, and it was hands up for therapy. Hands up if you're in therapy. Hands up for therapy. And you know what? I'm going to put my hands up. I'm going to put my hands up. I'm going to put my hands up too, because it's a process.
Yes.
Right? And so for everybody else on the story or on the timeline that's put your hands up and you've put your hands up for therapy, well done. Thank you, because even then, even that admittance to yourself is a major step. Ayanda, thank you very much. As we will put something excuse me, we will put something together where we will let people know how to contact you if they want to.
Before you go, I would like to apologize. And if my partner is here and other people, I would like to apologize for emotionally abusing. Let me not just define it. I apologize for abusing and having toxic behaviors, and I'm really sorry for that. And yeah.
Thank you for the final thoughts, your apology. And as I said, don't start with me about was that a cough. You stop that right there, okay? Sorry, I had to just cut that bit real quick. Imagine. Thank you again. Accountability is a major thing, and I think we cleared up a few things, okay? And thank you again. We will put something out with your information and information for other people to access all of the organizations that they need to access. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Listen, okay? Stop the coughing, okay? Normal people cough, okay? It's a continuous cough. You people are...